As we said earlier, like, our social life only happens as the individuals participate in the social systems. So, like we said earlier, it's a system made up of individuals, and you can't really understand the system by looking at individuals alone. Let's talk about the ways we're shaped as individuals. Okay, the first way is socialization. Alright, ever since we're babies, we get all these ideas from our parents, from the media, from our teachers, and they're just giving us like these images of the world and who we are in relation to the system and to other people. So that's half of like shaping our individualism. Okay, the other way is the paths that we take. The paths of least resistance. We have like a limitless number of choices that we could make in every social situation, okay? But like, other people discourage us from going down these paths, and like, we often choose a path because it's the only one we see. The example that he gives is that like, if you're in a movie theater, like, you know movie theater etiquette. So if you were to like get up, start dancing, take out a flashlight, read the newspaper, just like if you start going hypey in the movie theater, people are gonna get fucking pissed. It's going against the path of least resistance, okay? People are gonna resist you. They're gonna be like, what the fuck? Get the fuck out of here. So since it's been like this for so long, you know, minorities being oppressed, it's like we just kind of go along with it because we don't want to see this social resistance. Sure, you're not racist, you don't have anything against black people, but inevitably you have these privileges as a white person, and that's where you get fucked. You're just trying to be a good person, but then you can't help it because these patterns happen and people just follow the easiest path. Let's talk about what it means to like be involved in all of this. As long as we're involved in this system, like, we don't get to choose whether we're involved with the consequences. We're just involved simply by the fact that we're born on this earth, or specifically, I guess in this book we're talking about America, but still, we don't have a choice to be involved or not. No matter what, we are involved in this system. Our choice that we do have, however, is how we're going to be involved. We can just take the path of least resistance and be a part of the problems that we see in society, or we can be a part of the solution. That's where our power lies, and it's also kind of a responsibility. For example, a white individual can either go through his life ignoring the fact that people of color are oppressed, and you know, it can be regardless of his actions, or he can recognize that he's part of this system, and he can take these steps to contribute to the well-being of just, you know, his other people in society. You can't think of the world as just individuals, because then we start putting them in these categories, like they're, you know, oh, he's a good person, he's not racist, he's a bad person, he is racist. So the only way to change the outcome of what's going on in society is to change how we're looking at it and how we're participating in the system itself, and how we're dealing with the paths of least resistance that the author talks about. Like I said earlier, humans are always going to be a part of this system, and even though these privileges and these oppressions are allotted to individuals, the trouble doesn't lie in the individual, it lies in the system. And we as humans in this complex system, we need to recognize and just like talk about it out loud with each other about our differences, and I think that that can help extinguish the troubles that surround privilege and oppression. In chapter 7, he talks about passive oppression, and we can define passive oppression as it can be defined as making it possible for oppression to happen simply by doing nothing to stop it. Being silent is just as bad as being racist, because in order for oppression to continue, you know, it depends on this silence. It depends on people not bringing it up and not talking about it. He talks about this scene. It's just all these white dudes beating up this black guy, and all these white people are standing around watching, or, you know, all these other people that, you know, they don't necessarily have to be white. Everyone's just standing there, like, minding their own business, like, as they do in the system. Imagine that the guy's beating up the dude, are, like, imagine that those guys are oppression. And then, so they look up and at the crowd that's just watching, and, like, even though the crowd isn't contributing to the problem, they're not helping. And so, like, imagine that one of the guys beating up the dude just looks up and he says, you know, like, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much, you know. It's kind of like, by participating in this passive oppression, you let people oppress people, and that's fucked up. Toward the end of the book, he talks about the hook. The hook is being part of the problem. People don't want to be a part of the problem, so they have all these different excuses. People just reject the problems that are going on, or they just, like, play it down by saying that it's not a big deal. It's really cute how men and women have battle of the sexes. You know, it's a joke, and, like, it's just a way to make, like, these inequalities appear normal to avoid seeing it for what it really is. People say, like, oh, people like it the way it is, you know, the status quo is, like, the best way, you know, it's working. Okay, it's not working. Even if you make, like, racist jokes and stuff, you know, you say, like, oh, I didn't mean it. Well, you're still, like, you're negatively bringing up, you know, diversity as, like, this, like, negative thing. And that's some bullshit. And then a lot of people, this is what I've seen a lot, with my background of, like, you know, white middle class, you know, a lot of privileged groups don't like to hear about oppression because it disturbs, like, this luxury that they have of being oblivious to what's going on. You know, they don't want to see it, and they're just, like, sick and tired of people complaining about it. They're like, let's just forget about it. Well, you can't forget about it. Once again, that's just being silent. That's just contributing to the problem. So I really like this quote that he has. He says, off the hook. He says, off the hook, I'm like a piece of wood floating with the current. On the hook, I have forward motion and a rudder to steer by. So he's saying, like, if you're silent and you participate in this passive oppression, then, you know, you're just floating and you're just kind of letting other people tell you how to participate in society. Or you can go against these currents, you can go against these paths of least resistance and figure out what you want to do and make the contribution that you want to make to society, and not the contribution that other people think you should make. So I think ultimately in this book, once again, this book is called Privilege, Power, and Difference. The author is telling us that we can't be blind to these differences that are going on. He brings up that, like, 50 years ago, like, we didn't even have gay people. Like, we did, but they were so oppressed that, like, people didn't even know they existed. Look at gay people now. I will say, like, 60 years ago, women in the workplace, that didn't exist. The reason why these underprivileged groups are gaining privileges is because the privileged people, as well as the oppressed people, are going against these paths of least resistance to, you know, make their contribution to society and figure out what they want to do, what they want to change. I fucking hate this class. I really do. I think it's really interesting. It's just, like, we had so much homework and stuff, and it's really pissing me off. But anyway, I think it's really important to think about these things. Before this class, I never really thought about racism. I never really thought about myself being oppressed as a woman, or, you know, as lower class, middle class, whatever you want. Now I just feel so guilty. He tells us to openly change how we participate in the system. The author talks about ecosystems, and scientists have acknowledged that, you know, in elementary school you learn about these ecosystems, you know, the rainforest, the ocean, okay? But over time, you know, biologically they change. They're always changing, you know, they're always developing. There's, you know, there's pollution, new species, whatever. Okay, it's the same thing in our human society, in our human ecosystem, or whatever you want to call it. It's always changing no matter what we do, and it's up to us to take the responsibility and make it change for the better. Anyway, wish me luck on my exam. I learned a lot in this class, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a great day! Oh, P.S. The music in the background of this video is from Lab Coat, and I will post a link where you can get the free download to this EP. It's called Hi. Okay, bye-bye.